In this video, we'll be role-playing a session with a client that is struggling with grief. The client is a 47-year-old white Caucasian male who has been divorced for 15 years. His children are 17 and 23 years old, and recently he lost his son at the age of 19. He came to therapy because he is struggling with coping with his grief as well as transition through middle adulthood. We'll now begin our session. I'm playing the client.
And I'll be playing the therapist who is doing an initial activity assessment for the patient that just came in. So I just had a few questions to ask you just around some of your activities and preferred hobbies, things like that. Would that be all right with you?
Yeah.
Great. I'll get started. So can you tell me about some of the activities that you prefer to do?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that I feel like I've spent the past chunk of time doing were things that I used to do with my children.
Mm-hmm.
So more recently I've been having a hard time sitting down at the piano or something to enjoy things like that because I just think about my son.
And you feel that the times that you start to play the piano that you feel that you can't because thoughts of your son come up? Is that correct?
I think that's right. I mean, we used to sit down and I taught him how to play the piano, so it's very hard for me to sit there and feel like I can enjoy it like I used to.
I see. Are there any activities that you feel like you are able to do right now?
I like to go on walks. I mostly spend time at home though, just kind of on the couch. Just don't feel like I have as much energy as I used to kind of get up and do things.
I see. So what would you say your energy level is right now? Would you say it's a low, a medium, or a high?
I would say for how it's been, kind of at a high, but compared to the typical person, pretty low. I mean, I used to never really be a super lethargic person, so I think I can recognize that. It's just been pretty low for a while now.
Aside from the low energy and thoughts of your son coming up when you try to do some of the activities that you prefer to, are there any other limitations that you find?
Yeah, I mean, just physically, I feel like I'm getting up there in age. I mean, I'm almost 50. I can't really move around like I used to, even if I wanted to. I used to really enjoy running. I would go on very long runs and participate in races, and I really can't even do that anymore just because of injuries with my knees and heels, and my body just moves a lot slower than it used to.
Sounds like mobility is not quite as it used to be.
I think it's becoming more of an issue.
I see. Okay. What about some of your coping skills or things that you do for yourself if you're feeling bad?
Yeah. I mean, I'm someone who used to really always enjoy a drink now and then, and I think since my son's passing, I will start to have a drink a little earlier in the day, and that's become progressively earlier. And once I start drinking, I really don't stop, and so it's kind of turned into a 6+ drinks every day type thing, which I think is also inhibiting my ability to be mobile and connect with people.
So it sounds like drinking has become your primary coping skill for dealing with how you've been feeling with the grief of your son, as well as some of the inactivity that you've been able to do.
I think that's right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's something we certainly can work on. While you're here, we can find some different coping strategies that we can work with and find that best work for you together. So, what about your personal strengths? What do you feel that your strengths are?
I think that I'm a kind person and a sensitive person. I think that in my life, though, it has served to me to maybe have proved to be almost a weakness. I feel like I've come to view it that way. I think I just make myself a little too vulnerable to things that happen in life and maybe a little less strong when it comes to dealing with certain situations.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so it sounds like the grief of your son, the inability to do some of the things, your preferred activities, and relying on drinking as your primary coping skill. Those are certainly things that we can work on together, and we will begin tomorrow in our next session.
Yeah, I just also wanted to add to that about my support network and just kind of how my kids live out of state, and I'm still in contact with my ex-wife, but it's really, I don't have much of a support network outside of that. So I'm looking forward to developing this relationship.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Absolutely, me too. So you mentioned that your family then is, most of them are pretty distant. Do you have any relatives that are close by or any friends that you can rely on as a support system currently?
No close relatives nearby. I used to have a really nice support network at church. I just feel like I can't go anymore. It's been very hard to connect with that side of myself since my son's passing. But yeah, just wanted to add that in really quick.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, and I look forward to meeting with you again tomorrow.
All right.